That's what, like, if you're looking for something like that's going to change your life, it's like, well, maybe this guy got better leads. That at some point you have to realize at the top 1%, the leads don't get any better. You get better.
If you want to run a successful story, welcome to VIPAs, the Game Plan Call.
Give it up for Mr. Tristan Dlabik, one of the largest disruptors in the captive space, from very humble beginnings to building an empire. He also told me he wanted me to let you guys know that he likes to bake cupcakes as a hobby for some reason. I don't know why he would say that, but God bless him. Tristan, thank you so much for joining us, man. Tristan is actually, he's made over $8 million in the past 7 years of being in the business. Over 50 agents have made over 6 figures working with him, and some are on track to even making 7 figures. At 20 years old, he was the youngest top producing agent in his organization. Also, a renowned podcast host that gained an insane amount of traction with speakers like Antonio Brown, Eric Spofford, Wes Watson, and a whole lot of other people. He's also newly founder, and the list goes on, but he's a new founder of Sales Hub. It's a platform that bridges the gap between sales leaders looking to acquire talent and talent looking to work in sales. So hope I didn't miss anything there, but you have quite the resume, my friend. But thank you so much for joining us today, man. Let's talk a little bit about, this picture we got here of you posted up, and probably, is that your car or is it somebody else's car?
That was me at 19, and that's what they call in the captive space. That was my MGA's car, I believe. I think that was his Range Rover. Yeah, I believe that was his Range Rover at the second office out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, specifically Wexford, Pennsylvania, with my previous business partner. You guys probably are all familiar with him. Respect to him and his accomplishments and things that he's accomplished. We no longer work together, but I'll always give credit where credit's due. So yeah, I think I was 19 years old there, maybe even 20. I'm probably 20 years old there, and probably close to 6 months to a year into the business.
Said you were not, sorry, you cut out after you said you were 19.
19. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I was 19, 20 years old. I imagine I'm about 6 months, maybe close to a year into the business in that picture there.
It's crazy, man. And that second picture, that was like pretty recently too, right? So
yeah, I think that's May. No, you know what? That's probably June or July of last year. Yeah, definitely a glow up. I graduated from high school at like 145 pounds, 150 pounds. I'm probably 160 pounds in the left picture, obviously, where I got the mammoth mohawk. Well, I don't know. I look like that mammoth from Ice Age. What's that?
So,
You know what I'm talking about? You guys might know what I'm talking about.
Manny.
Go ahead.
Nah, I was saying Manny.
Manny, yeah, that's what I look like. Manny right there, it looks like to me. So, but yeah, no, so that was about 6, 7 months ago, that previous picture. And things have definitely gone incredible. I can jump into my story, or we could do Q&A the whole time too. Whatever you guys want.
Yeah, man. Yeah, tell us a little bit, because now, when we talk about, humble beginnings, man, it's like, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, and if I butcher this, I am pretty aware that you grew up in a single parent home in Arkansas or Pittsburgh, right?
Oh.
Arkansas, at home. And at one point, both of your parents were actually in jail. You were in food bank lines trying to, make your way. It was just you and your little sister. You were taking care of her. You got expelled from high school. So you didn't even make it out of high school, but against all odds and with all the adversity you faced, you still stand tall and strong. So we talk a lot about things like, if things aren't good at home, then they won't be good at here. So like, how were you able to manage, everything that was going on in your relationship with your family, and then still being successful within the business, and, what kept you going, and, why did you end up choosing insurance?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, I want to shout out, if you guys are, mainly operating out of Chicago. I've had the pleasure of working with AB and some of the individuals I see on the call. So you guys are all incredible, and you guys have incredible stories. And Chicago is a very diverse area where there's a lot of individuals that are immigrants. So my story doesn't even pale in comparison to any immigrants on this call. that have either you have traveled from another country to find, the true opportunity unlimited, which is the United States of America, and, find safety and find a way to provide for your family and make a name for yourself and send resources back to your family wherever that is. So shout out to you guys. I know like I have I tell people like America, there is no come up story. You know what I mean? There's nothing to come up from. I don't believe in, like a poverty or a lack when it comes to America in comparison to what's really out there all across the world. So shout out to any immigrants or anybody that has any immigrant, family that you've come from. You guys are the real come up story. But for myself, yeah, my parents went away. My mom went away first when I was like 8 years old. It was right around 8 years old. She was from Pennsylvania. And from there, she was away for like a year and a half, and then like another year through custody court, trying to, get me and my sister back. And my pops was going away, and you know, both of them instilled phenomenal skills. My mom raised us predominantly for, most of our childhood, but my dad, prior to him going away, he instilled this warrior mindset. I swear we watched 300 every day and Scarface every other day. And it was in between that, outside working out and working and playing sports. And there was no crying, no weakness, no surrender. And I believe that has transformed me entirely from a boy to a man, because it was always, whether or not I was the best at something, if I put my mind to something and put my heart to something, I knew I wasn't going to give up. It wasn't a matter of me having an advantage when it came to skill set or it came to intelligence or really any of the, uncontrollables. But the controllables of me not giving up and me giving my all and working hard and developing myself, that's always been a given because of my father instilling that into myself and my sister. And then from there, he went away when I was about 10 years old, right when my mom was, again, regaining custody. And, he was pretty much gone for the rest of my life. We just really started rehabilitating a relationship about a year or two ago. I'm 26 now. So, pretty much, majority of my life so far has been without my pops. But I remember getting kicked out of school because I was angry. I was always fighting. I still fight. You obviously see the black eye, but now it's tamed, it's controlled. I just spar and obviously have a bad defense. But but with that being said, Ayaan knows. With that being said, you know, I was always fighting. I was always angry, and I was always, asking God, like, what's wrong with my life? Why am I not able to find a way to get out of this hole, out of this, you know, these trenches per se, from this American perspective of I thought the world was, absolutely against me, and that we just had this lack. And really in reality, as I've grown up, I realized we didn't really lack anything, and it wasn't really that bad of a childhood. And, regardless of the things that I experienced, what really, again, it pales in comparison to what, other kids, growing up in a third world country or just another country that's at war, there's nothing that compares to it. They would trade positions with me in a heartbeat. So, I don't like to overemphasize that. I like to overemphasize the victory and how far I've come, and imagining how far I can go. But I remember getting expelled, for fighting, and my principal told me, "You're just going to end up just like your pops. You're going to end up in prison or even worse." And he didn't realize that that was probably one of the best things that he could have said to me, because in the moment it was very painful and made me very angry. But as I reflect back on it, it was one of those seeds that it's like, man, yeah, if you don't get your act together and get your life together, you're not going to go very far. And so I remember being expelled from high school for like a month or two, trying to reconnect with my pops, who had recently got out of prison, and just not connecting eye to eye with him and what he was doing in his endeavors. And I just remember praying. I was like super, super involved in church from a young age. Like my mom got me in church, and I was just up and down, off and on, like just really pursuing God, or really out on the streets doing crazy things and getting involved with crazy crowds. What up, Elvis? And, you know, I just was in a deep state of prayer and worship and asking God to, come and save me, guide me, give me some type of answer, give me some type of freedom in my life, more so internally than probably what I was really desiring externally. Like, just free me from this pain that I'm creating within my own mind of feeling like a victim. Why is the world against me? And realizing, like, ultimately it was all my actions, my habits, and my mindset that was creating the reality that I was living in. And so I'm going back to Pennsylvania from Arkansas. I'm 18 years old. I was in college for a week. I withdrew when I started studying subsidized, unsubsidized loans, and realizing this is absolutely stupid. I'm not going to do this and get some basket weaving degree, which is just a business degree, but essentially it equates to the same when it comes to, the educational, power in America, because piece of paper doesn't really hold any weight unless you're going and getting a doctorate degree or something along those lines. So I withdraw and then I start applying for different jobs on Indeed. I was working at UPS in high school as well. I left that out, but from there, I'm waiting to hear something. Can somebody reach out to me? I have no credentials. I have nothing aside from this GPA of a little over 2 points or something like that from a online cyber high school that my mom actually completed for me. So I would even have I actually keep my, what is it, this diploma right beside me just to remind me of, again, how crazy life can be and how much you can accomplish in really a short amount of time. Because I look at like what I've accomplished in 6 or 7 years. Most people don't even do in a lifetime, in a couple lifetimes. So it's definitely a great reminder of how far you can go if you really put your focus into your self-development, into getting around the right people, and putting your thoughts, your intentions, and your actions into the right work. And so I get this email from an automated email from an insurance company. Thought it was a scam. Obviously, a lot of poor people and people that are growing up in a poorer environment, everything's a scam. Like everything's a scam. That's why people stay poor. And I don't know what it was. Something was nudging at me to go check this out. Really, probably because I had nothing going on in my life. I was washing dishes at my boy's pizza shop. And so I go check the place out. There's Maseratis in the parking lot and there's money. And, the youngest guys in there are like 30s. And I thought that was, young for a workplace for people looking like they're making, 100, 200 grand a year. And I was just mesmerized. I was hoping I could make 40, 50 grand a year because we were living on like a grand a month at the time. So I go to the interview. I had cornrows down to my shoulders, and I was 145 pounds, and I was wearing a suit from Gabriel Brothers. You guys probably don't know what that store is. It's like a Dollar Tree. It's like just like a hand-me-down cheap suit, super cheap suit. I got the cornrows down to the shoulders, and just absolutely, uneducated, not able to really articulate any professional words or have any. I just had passion and anger, and I didn't know what was going on in my life. So they end up telling me there's life insurance. I'm thinking like, man, is this a scam? Is this a scam? Is this a scam? And they hit me with the end of the presentation or the end of the interview of like, okay, also you have to buy this course. And I'm like, what? Buy this course? And it was the insurance course. And I was still to this point, I was like, man, this is a scam. But I get my insurance license within 24 hours and made my first sale within a week. And that first year was a blur. I don't remember listening to music. I don't remember celebrating my birthday. I really don't remember anything aside from the few times I fell asleep behind the wheel from not sleeping because I was just driving, knocking on doors, making dials, and nothing else existed. Nothing else existed. I actually managed to write a book at the same time my first 3 months. I'd come home, I'd write 10 pages of my life story, sleep a couple hours, maybe 2, 3 hours, get up, read, and go knock on doors and make dials and till the dark of the night when people start pulling guns on me. And that was the first year of my life out of high school. I made $114,000 knocking on doors and slinging insurance in person. I don't know if any of you guys have ever sold anything in person, but it's a lot different than sitting in the comfort of your home with your AC and your heat. There's none of that out in the wild, out in the jungle, wherever, whatever zone, territory that you're in. West Coast, East Coast, the middle. I've done it all. So that would be the first half of my insurance story. I don't want to just linger though. I'd rather interact. You want me to keep going? You guys, more questions? You want me to keep going?
Man.
Corey?
You say some, pretty profound things, man. I mean, your upbringing is something that, a lot of people go their entire lives, they'd never really be able to experience like the depth of what you have experienced. And it takes a great deal of humility to understand that, your problems are not as big as people in different countries and things like that. So for you to say that is huge. Now, we talk to we always talk as an organization about the difference between, and we talked about this last week too, is like ignorance debt, right? Like the timeline it takes for you to be able to jump into an industry, be able to make the mistakes and curb those mistakes into something that's, whether it's revenue generating or character developing, whatever it may be. So like some people, and you've seen your fair share of this too, they get into, this business or any business, right? And they come in and they start either, it's one of two things, very black and white. Either they come in and they start popping off right away and they make the money and they're doing good for a long period of time, and they get punched in the face later and then they don't know how to deal with it, right? Because they made so much money, they have yet to see all the character development aspects that come with it, right? Now, flipping that on its head, there's other people that come in the business, they're eating, dirt for like the first 6 months, however long it takes, and then they win. But the thing is, I think you and I can agree on this part, is like, personally myself, I mean, you tell me, I'd much rather like eat the dirt up front and then win later, rather than, win up front and then, go through it later, because all those character development pieces are so essential. So I mean, it seems like that's kind of what you went through in terms of like, your upbringing and things like that. Another thing you talked about was you thinking it was a scam. I remember, you had Daniel G actually come and speak to us. And if you remember, he had talked about, the three phases of like, being like in this journey of success, or whatever you want to call it. And he was talking about like when you first get in to like, start taking on an endeavor, everyone is like sort of against you. Then they start to support you. And then the third step, when you've really made it, is when they think it's like a scam. You remember him saying that, right? Like it was insane. So, with that being said, man, it's amazing to see, like you live by this saying, how far we tell the guys this, we tell our entire team this all the time. Imagine how far see how far you've come, imagine how far you can go. I mean, that's something you post like every single day. So it's huge, man. But I know it's been a crazy year, for our industry as a whole, man, with like compliance getting tighter, leads getting better. And I mean, everyone's trying to sort of flood into the industry, trying to figure out like what their next get rich quick scheme is going to be, right? But looking back at it as a year as a whole, what would you say is like your biggest takeaway, like that you're either taking with you into this year, or you're not taking into this next year?
So there's a couple things here, and this is where I really start to get excited. I always tell people, like, for those of you that are in leadership and you're desiring to impact people, if you want to impact people, talk about them. If you want to impress people, talk about yourself. And so I love the transition out of that. Everybody has an ego. I have an ego, where it's like, it's cool for a moment to talk about me and try to impress you with what I've done, what I've accomplished, and what my vision is. But to impact you, I want to talk about you and what you can do, and the things that I've learned that I'm now going to share with you that you can implement into your life. So a combination of strategy, data, whatever it is that you can plug and put into your life so that you can generate a new result. So as I reflect over the last 12 months, and especially as I get older, I heard this from Steve Jobs, and obviously this is a past tense quote from Steve Jobs, as he is no longer with us. But I remember seeing some quote from him, and I don't know if it was through a podcast or if it was through like an actual quote through one of the channels that I follow. But he was saying, instead of having annual review periods, monthly review periods, I spent 5 years, probably, 5 years, very dedicated to a system at a previous company where we would do what's called a monthly progress and persistency report. You would do X amount of results. You would come meet with me. We would go over your results. We would go over your self-development, and we would go over grading yourself 1 through 10. How well do you think you've done? What are your goals for the future month? What are your goals for the next month? And when I heard this from Steve Jobs, and I'm glad that I implemented this for the last year or two of my life, but I'm trying to do better and better at doing this one thing. And he said, we don't have annual reviews at Apple. We don't have monthly reviews at Apple. We don't even have weekly reviews. As soon as we realize there's a deficit in our game, as soon as we identify that there is room for improvement in Apple and one of our coworkers and myself, we're looking to acknowledge that. Here's where I can improve. We're assessing that, obviously. What is the game plan? Here's the solution, and we're implementing. Stop waiting for an annual review. Well, and I love this question because it's something I have to remind myself. I don't do the New Year's resolutions, and I don't do the New Year's resolutions to impress people. A lot of people get into sales like, I don't do New Year's. We know. We can look at your life. We know you don't do any resolutions. Nothing's getting resolved. But I'm not saying this to be like, let me impress you. I have flaws and sins, and I fall short in business and in my faith. But I'm telling you, what you need to do immediately is get rid of the calendar. Get rid of time. What is time? And I know that probably sounds like, oh, this is one of those nut jobs that's, they might make a meme video out of this. This nut job doesn't believe in time. No, seriously, as you were born, how often are you actually dissecting the science of time? You were born and you're going to die. In between that, they call that life. Most people never wake up and live because you're not auditing yourself. The quicker that you can measure something. I got to meet Patrick David probably about a year ago for the first time. I've met him twice, and I'm hoping to have an actual one-on-one with him this year. But when I sat down, it was a group setting. I got the cheapest ticket to get in this room. It was $5,000 to get in this room. That was the cheapest ticket. And I remember him saying, uh, he's growing this company called Monect. And you guys can do research on Monect, but he was saying it was stagnant for a year. And I'm thinking, like, Patrick David doesn't build anything stagnant. Look at all the growth he's had. Look at, like, he's one of the founding fathers, or like a Mount Rushmore type of individual that we would all look up to in the insurance space. And he said the game changer was we went from measuring the business weekly and monthly, get this, guys, to every 3 seconds. They invented some type of technology that it would update their data every 3 seconds. Boom. Imagine knowing, boom, every 3 seconds, how many dials have you made? Every 3 seconds, like measuring the things, the KPIs, what they call them, the key point indicators of what's driving the revenue, not of your business, of your life. That's my reflection over the last year of, like, what can I do better? I'm looking at how can I get rid of the mindset of let's meet on this next week. No, let's meet on this right now and change it now.
Mhm.
Change it now. Over the course of my entrepreneurial journey of the last 7 years, guys, I've lost more people than you could imagine. My best friend that I grew up with, my first best friend, she passed away last year with no life insurance at 26 years old from leukemia. Left behind 2 daughters. Life is so precious. Life is so precious. That's why when I feel down and behind and mad that I don't have $1 billion in a Bugatti, I'll remind myself, look how far you've come. Remember them late nights, coming home, running streets, getting into bad things, upsetting your mom crying, and just breaking my heart, thinking about the life that we used to live. I don't know if that's like the precise answer. This is what we're looking for. Like that's what I'm passionate about in regard to, like, what's going to make today better. Forget, the time and all of that. I'm thinking of what do we do right now to make today better. I would hope to get on this call and you leave this call and be like, dog, you know what? I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of eating this food, waking up late, not making dials, not staying till 9 o'clock. When I worked with AB, nobody outworked this kid. It was sickening. It was like, I slept at the office. I was making millions of dollars, and we spent every dollar. Every dollar went back into business. So it's like, yeah, he's right. We made over $7 million. We didn't really keep a dollar, honestly. I had a business partner, some miscommunications in regard to how that partnership was being ran, but I lived at the office. Me and AB got to work with each other for probably dang near close to a year. He slept right outside the office. So I had this 8,000 square foot office. So I always told everybody, I'm 22, 23 years old, and 24, 25 years old, and I got the biggest house in the world. People, where's your house? What are you talking about, bro? I got an 8,000 square foot house. 25. Where? My office. But AB would be at the office all day, all night. His team at the office, suited up. Their culture was unparalleled. I see Cole Higby on. Like, these guys were unmatched. And it's like people were like, well, what's going to change this year? Nothing's going to change this year if you don't change. You have to bring a sick, obsessed, possessed mindset of like think of someone being possessed. You have to be possessed with the vision of changing your life. That's what, like, if you're looking for something like that's going to change your life, it's like, well, maybe this guy got better leads. That at some point you have to realize at the top 1%, the leads don't get any better. You get better. I'm going to keep going on tangents. What's the next spot?
I mean, that's absolute truth, man. One of our, Anthony Amaker, he's here right now. We talked about this last week as well. And he said you either come into this business with a lot of time, or you come into the business with a lot of money. Very black and white, right? If you have a lot of time, work your behind off until you have the income to be able to create systems to free up, more of your time.
That guy's smart.
If you have a lot of money, great. Use that, understand the process, use that money to be able to, create time, create systems, and so on and so forth. But I mean, you practice what you preach too, man. Every time we text each other, you respond like this. So when you say that you're trying to get something done right now, it's the same way how we all, communicate with each other as well. Like, people like try to take their sweet time trying to respond to text message. I don't know. I think it's like some sort of social flex of some sort. I have no idea.
I have no
But
idea.
you know what I mean? But no, it's definitely the truth, man. I mean, we had all the reason in the world at that time too. I mean, I had an apartment the whole time, and I'd come out there just to learn from you. He'd be up at 4 in the morning. No, 3:30 in the morning. He'd read for 15 minutes, and then he'd wake up. He wouldn't wake me up though. He would just wake up, and as soon as I faced the sleeping bag towards his door, so that way, like, and I had no reason to do this, but I had an apartment, things like that. But just to be around him and learn his ways, he would open the door, he'd walk out, and he wouldn't say anything. But like sometimes I have like problem sleeping. So as soon as I hear something open, I was like security, had the machete and everything.
I had a machete and everything.
Yeah. And then we'd head over to the gym at like 4 in the morning, hit the ice bath to get it lifting. It was good times, man. Good times. But it seems as though those things never changed, right? It's consistency over time, right? So huge piece right here. Getting more into this, so let's talk, and you talk a little bit about KPIs, and things like that, key performance indicators. Let's talk about like, your organization as a whole, and like, how you're managing, your chains of management, because not only do you have, if you're select, first gen leaders and things like that, but like what kind of communication styles are you teaching both, the managers, and then how are you also communicating with your agents? Because I mean, just working with you in the past, I know you're not the type of guy who just sits on top of the throne, like doesn't communicate with like, just only your managers, right? You're very in that regard. So like, what kind of, how do those kind of conversations go? And how do you like teach them, like keep their organizations intact?
So it's a phenomenal question, guys. In regard to communication and running a massive we can't even call it a massive operation. Let's just call it a baby operation. Because when you look at the top three wealthiest men in the world, the common denominator between these three right now, you have Jeff Bezos. First off is Elon Musk, then you have Jeff Bezos, and then I think it's Larry Page now. But between, like, when you look at the top five, I check this probably pretty often. I'd say weekly, in regard to top 10 wealthiest men in the world, when I'm questioning myself on what am I doing, am I headed in the right direction? Obviously the goal is to be number one. So the common denominator is all of these individuals have 100,000 plus employees or associates, affiliates to their organization that are helping them drive revenue. The most I've, had access to is about 200, 300 people. And, we operated at a proficient level. In the captive world, dominating, you know what I mean? In the brokerage world, I see guys do an insane amount of production. I'm super excited to continue to explore and see what is all available there. But, with that being said, when it comes to communication, I'll tell you what not to do. There's a lot of things that you can do right. There's a lot of ways to like get in the end zone, but there's definitely some certain ways to like not get in the end zone, not to score, and how to just ruin relationships. And so what not to do is what I did my first couple of years. I spent 2 years in the insurance space just selling and not retaining. Notice I didn't say I wasn't recruiting. I've always been an incredible recruiter. I brought my boys in, I brought my friends in, I brought all types of people in. Probably, at least it had to have been close to 100 people before I got somebody to stick. For those of you that are discouraged, like, I can't get anybody to figure out how to sell life insurance. My team isn't growing. I've lost people. It was 2 years. I made $300,000 in my first 2 years, pretty much just from my own personal production. And the reason I wasn't able to retain it, like, this is not a flex. This is stupid. Like, a business is not flexing on adversity. It's awesome that we're able to endure adversity, but the game of business is for you to win. Adversity is a loss. And so my loss in my first 2 years was my leadership style was very aggressive. It was direct aggressive. It was passive aggressive. There was no passion. Leadership is super simple. When you really study leadership, and like for me, like studying it like biblically and looking at it into my faith, when I study the life of Jesus and I study, what he resembled love. And, a lot of, faiths acknowledge Jesus as a great prophet, as like my faith, recognize him as a God. So with that being said, regardless, when you dissect the wisdom out of a great leader, great leaders lead with two things: relatability. I know where you've been. I've been there. I know where you're going. I'm here. And the second piece is they lead with love. I didn't lead with like it's not that I hated people, but I had no compassion. I was still that high school angry Tristan. And so for those of you that are communicating right now, it's not a matter of you reading, like I think of all the books. I can't make this up, guys. I think I've read probably 600 books. And I'm not saying like most of it's been audiobook. People don't specify that. A lot of entrepreneurs will tell you guys, I've read 1,000 books over the last 5 years. You've been reading them on audiobook. So it's not like I used to get like worried, like, am I just a slow reader? Guys, like most of these people are reading audiobooks. But all the books I've read, everything I've put into my mind on leadership development, becoming a better leader, running a better business, growing a better business, none of it compared to just slowing down and just being a good human. Just asking myself, what would I do if this person was my mom? If this person was my dad, if this person was my sister, my little brother, like if this person was my blood relative, somebody I had a deep love for. And when you start to operate in this energy of deep love and how can I serve you? Leadership is servanthood. Jesus was he came here not to, not to condemn, but to sacrifice his life. Literally, his life was to sacrifice. And so when I look at myself, I was like, man, if I sacrifice now, what can I earn later? So for those of you that are like, you're looking to improve your communication this year, lead from the front and sacrifice. Stop asking people to do things that you wouldn't do yourself or you haven't done yourself. I never ask people to do things that I haven't done myself or I'm not willing to do. You want them to call more with them. You want them to get more referrals with them. And your best communication, those of you think you have a big team, you don't have a big team. You got 20, 30, maybe you have 100 guys, 200 guys. You don't have a big team. Reach out to the people that have good energy and are at least attempting to get results. They're working hard, even if they're not getting results, and ask them, hey, what's going wrong? What do you not like? What could be better for you? That's your next up and coming wave of your organization. And so getting into like one of my favorite things to do is just walk around the office, dap people up. How you doing? How's it going? How's your life? What could be better? Your communication is like removing the barrier of, oh, well, I'm this title. No titles. No titles. Just war. You know what I mean? Like the most respected generals are relatability. The Alexander the Greats, where I'm going to lead from the front. Look at my scars. I have the same scars as you. Look at these wounds. I'm going to battle with you. Nobody respects the leader that has a clean face. No scars. And what I mean by that, not actually going to war, guys. So I mean, literally, like, be okay being in the trenches with your people. If you're showing your people, oh, like, oh no, I'm too good to do any of this work. You're literally admitting to them that their job sucks. And now you completely cripple your business. Right?
Yeah. No doubt. That's the absolute truth, man. No doubt. And this is a big thing that, when we sort of have these discussions, right? Like with our, as an organization as a whole, right? Our job, right, as leaders is to ensure that, we are getting people paid, right? That's just like most people in the industry, like, won't say that, right? Yeah. There's a lot of, we talk about this too, is like, no such thing as free overrides. We do not tolerate that here whatsoever. Our job is to make sure that we're taking care of people. And, our job a lot of times is a lot crazier because not only these people are taking a bet on us, right? Like agents are taking a bet on us. Like I come into your organization, Tristan, and you tell, and we're not having that. We might not be having that conversation, but if I don't perform, I know you as a leader that you are, you might feel some type of way because it's exactly how I am. If someone comes into our organization, right, and I know, other leaders here, like they feel the same such, type of way, the last thing we want to do is point the finger at the agent. The first thing we need to do is point the finger at ourselves and see, okay, what are we doing? Are we tracking their KPIs? Are we seeing like what gaps need to be filled? Are we doing the training that we need to do with them in order for them to, succeed here? And then at the end, if everything is said and done, then there might be some other kind of conversations that are to be had. But leading from the front is a big piece, and I think a lot of people, they definitely get way too comfortable early on. But kind of reverse engineering that, what would you say to like agents, right? Because like our job obviously is like showing up, giving them the resources, giving them the leadership, giving them the tools they need in order for them to succeed. But like what would you say like you need from an agent in order for you to do like your job best?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you need from an agent, and a lot of entrepreneurs will overcomplicate and sales leaders will overcomplicate. And I think they will try to compensate for a bad company, bad systems, and bad resources by plugging in the excess morning routine or all these other type, like it's almost like band-aids to try to manipulate or create a mirage of like, ah, you know what I mean? Our company doesn't suck. Just do an extra cold tub and breathe more. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes you have to realize as an agent, you need to cut the morning routine down and maybe even minimize it to a small amount of your time because a push-up never closed the deal for me. The cold tub never closed the deal for me. All the reading and all of that never technically got on the phones for me or sat down at a table with a family and closed a deal for me. What closed the deal for me was me going to work, me making dials, me getting referrals. What I need from an agent is I would prefer a good attitude. Like it would be nice, but my number one priority is somebody willing to work and not just show up. I don't need you to just show up and hang out at the office or hang out on Zoom all day. I need you to actually show up with your actions. Somebody that's willing to get as many presentations in as possible every single day. Like just get as many presentations and just have a good attitude because typically a good attitude reflects gratitude, and then that person's going to be able to listen. Because if I can't critique you, it's just going to take longer. You know what I mean? So to expedite that process, it's a combination of good attitude, somebody willing to listen, that coachability factor, and somebody that's like just willing to work and not do all the procrastination. Well, I need to read more. I need to role play more. I need to watch film all day. Like I need a breather. Like go work somewhere else. I don't know what to tell you, bro. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a clock in job. This is a you kill, you get to eat. You don't kill, you don't get to eat. So like the kill comes from your activity of actually doing the hunt. Everything else, like preparing, if you prepare for the hunt for your whole life and never go on the hunt, you can't ask why you didn't get to eat. You just kept preparing for the hunt. Lions don't just sit there and prepare all day. They hunt.
Reps. Have to get the reps in.
Have to get reps. That's what I need. I need someone to get reps. You know what I mean? I don't care what you believe in, what you look like. You could be fat, skinny, six pack, can fight, can't fight, don't matter. If you're going to get reps and have a decent enough attitude, let's go to war.
Yeah, man. No doubt. No doubt. I mean, especially seeing all the striking, man. The striking has improved greatly. Seeing
Thank
that.
God.
Nice. You know, good deal. Now, you talked about churn earlier too, right? You talked about, you know, we always talk about there's two different types of churn, right?
Yeah.
There's the agent side of churn, right? Agents falling off because they're not getting the support or whatever else it may be. And then there's a client churn, right? So talking about like, you know, agent churn as a whole, you know, what would you say to like an agent that's like struggling within the business and is thinking about exiting? And then like, what would you say to an agent that's even like crushing it right now?
Yeah. So I would say this first off, as an agent, if you're considering leaving, leave on good terms. You don't know if you need to come back down that bridge. If you burn the bridge, you really probably can't come back down it. It's going to take a lot longer for you to rebuild it. So just leave on good terms. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a ignorant person. Don't try to replace business and, recruit, people or do any type of just mean tactics. You know what I mean? Like just tactics you wouldn't want done against yourself. Leave on good terms. Don't try to like burn a bridge and be a man or a woman about it. You always go to the upline and whoever brought you into the business, be respectful. Hey, listen, I don't know if this is for me right now, but I'd like to keep a good relationship. That's how I exited from my previous company. I announced my retirement with Globe Life guys. I exited on really good terms with the people that were respectful to me. I also don't allow myself to get manipulated as I used to as a young man in the business. And guys, remember what I came from. I didn't come from any money. I came from an environment that was poor, thought poor, acted poor. And so getting exposed to money, almost think, how Mike Tyson lost a lot of money from what was his manager's name? You guys probably don't know a lot about boxing. Obviously, I don't know, but he had some crazy manager that took a bunch of bread. Sometimes as young people, we can be so gullible. This is my actual life story where you will lose a lot of bread by being too sweet and being too like, oh yeah, do whatever. Yeah, Don King. You know what I mean? I've been Don King a few times. So, but it's like that song in J. Cole. You know what I mean? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you never fool me again. You know what I mean? So it's like it was all a lesson. It was all beautiful. But like as an agent, be respectful, but don't be a soft little baby. You know what I mean? Be willing to stand up for yourself and know your worth and really truly know your worth. Some of you guys are worth $100 right now. It's okay. I was worth $1 at one point. You know what I mean? But it's like now I'm worth millions. You got to know your worth. I don't ask people for billions of dollars. I'm not a billionaire. I don't ask people for $10 million. I haven't made $10 million, but I know people are going to respect the millions that I've made. Respect me of where I'm at. You understand? So understand that. And then leaders, you want to minimize churn. Stop hiring out of desperation. You know what Hion's done really, really incredible since the day I met him? He's like, man, I have certain standards I'm just not willing to compromise. And I tell him, hey, well, what about, find some quality through some quantity? But the more I think about it, like, if you could just find the quality, the previous company, the way it was structured, that model doesn't really work. You need the quantity because it's more of there's certain recruiting obligations you have to hit to get bonus money, et cetera. So like it's not that I was completely wrong. It worked for that business model. But when you look at a general business, you're going to get a lot of headaches with quantity because you're going to get a lot of low quality people. Low quality people bring high problems, massive problems. You know what I mean? And high quality people bring minimal problems because they solve them or they're competent enough to take enough responsibility. So as a leader, stop hiring losers. And if you're asking yourself, well, why am I not attracting better people? Because you are a loser right now. If you have losers hitting you up, it's because you are a loser right now. I was a loser. There's still places I need to get better at so I can attract higher quality people because you attract who you are. Nothing else. Not what you want, not what you don't want. You attract who you are. So if you want to mitigate, minimize that churn of bad agents, stop hiring bad agents, become a better person and start saying no. You'll build a better business by telling people no. You will build absolutely, Mike. Law of the Lid is. I'm glad that you brought that up. So John Maxwell's incredible. You guys should dive into all of his content. And in losing business, same deal. Take care of people. Be good to people. Sell everybody like it's your mom or your dad. Hey, I absolutely, valued your time today. Mr. and Mrs. Joe. What I want to do is I want to put you on a monthly review where I send you a text every month, just check on you. And if you ever need anything, you reach out to me. One of my favorite lines to throw in when it comes to solidifying and pitching insurance is, hey, just pretend I'm not even a part of the insurance company. I know I don't know you from Adam or Eve, but pretend I'm just a part of your family and I want to do what's best for you. Like, what's best for you? Is this comfortable for you to do for the rest of your life? This is a life insurance policy. Is this comfortable for you? Perfect. And then just go above and beyond. Another book you guys should read is Unreasonable Hospitality. You really want to be a great salesman? You really want to retain business? When's their birthday? Put that in your calendar. Teach people to do that. I sent thank you cards for the first 3 years of business to every client. At one point, I had to hire someone to send thank you cards out because my team was doing so much in business. And then once it scaled beyond that, I just had to delegate and duplicate and have other people do it. But up until about 100 cards a week, I was doing it. I had my assistant doing it. We were sending out hundreds of cards on a monthly basis. Thank you cards. Thank you for allowing us to protect your family's financial future. If you know anybody interested in any more life insurance, please refer them to us. Going above and beyond.
Everything, man. In this business too, it's not like anything, they use the sort of statement that this is your business, treat it like your business, right? But going deeper is it's not like any other sort of sales career, because let's say you go on, I'm selling a car to you, right? I'm selling a car to you. You tell me you can't afford it. I'm gonna do everything in my power. I'm gonna get around that rebuttal. You're gonna sign that paperwork and you're gonna drive off the lot with that car. I'm gonna get my commission, but you drive off the lot with that car. You can't make the payments on it because you really can't afford it. Well,
Yep.
thanks, car, right? Here it doesn't work like that, right? And it's not like we're doing it because of that very reason. It just you can't. It's very hard to teach care, respect, and understanding. Those things are very hard to understand. But in this business, if you don't understand those things, you will start to see yourself lose. You will start to see clients fall off the books, right? Yep. There's no such thing as we're just pushing an application through. If someone tells you they need to think about it, and then you're telling them they're just, oh yeah, we're just submitting an application. That is how you get, and the first draft goes through, and then you guys get a chargeback. Understand why they didn't think about it. What is it to think about, right? Typically, when people need to think about it, is due to misinformation or no information at all. Shout out Alex Ramosi. But that's just what it is. Because if you guys make the mistake, and some people do, they make the mistake of trying to hard close, and then what happens is they start to see that money, that business fall off the books as time goes on. They're not following up with the client. There's no sort of mutual respect or relationship built there. And, same thing with a agent. It's the same thing. If you don't nurture the agent, if you don't take care of the agent, make sure the agent is taken care of, gets all the resources, they're gonna fall off too. We
Yes.
do a lot of comparison between agents and leads. They're very similar in their own way, in their own beautiful way. So I
Yes.
mean, no, that's a huge point, man. Now you made a pretty big announcement. I think you said it a little bit. You kind of hinted at it a little bit.
Yeah.
And this was a curveball. Like this was like so unplanned. As soon as we saw that on social media, it was like everyone was sending it to each other. We're like, "What is this? This is like breaking news live, right?" But you made a pretty big announcement like right after. Because I know we had been going back and forth over DM on Monday, and then we scheduled the pod, and then on Thursday you came out with this news. So like, and if I'm not mistaken, this is your first time on like an interview, after that announcement.
Yeah.
So you guys don't know already, Tristan has actually just retired from the organization that he was with at 26 years old now.
Yeah. 26.
26 years old. You're pushing like 30 now, right? Like,
Push 30.
you
Basically
look
30.
like never haven't aged a bit though. But
Yeah.
regardless, if it's not too much to ask, I
Yeah.
know the people are wondering
Yes.
what's next for Mr.
Man.
Dlabik.
So right now, to give you as much information as I can, I have a consulting company that does very well, that I do one-on-one consulting with individuals that
Let's
minimum
talk
have
about
making 30,000 a month. And what's cool about that is we put a big emphasis on testimonial content and helping people create testimonies, and then also kind of create their own consulting. Because once you're making about $500,000 a year, you can start to make some additional money. So we help people making $500,000 a year scale that and build their brand stronger within the insurance and sales space. I've got health insurance guys, I've got call center guys, people that run the insurance call centers, and then a couple of big life insurance guys as well. So consulting in the podcast is doing very well. Then I've got Sales Hub, which is a awesome venture, which is a recruiting staffing company that grew from 0 members to 300 members on a minimal $100 to $200 ad spend a weekly over the last 90 days. So I'm excited to see as I pour more money into that. That's all it needs, just more cash into that. But that connects basically sales applicants directly with sales recruits. So instead of having to if any if any of you have ever been in any other sales opportunities, they typically give you resumes or they tell you just go DM and go try to find people. Now I am creating essentially a community where there's hundreds of sales applicants that want the best commission job. And what it's cool is it's absolute capitalism because I have recruiters, and that's $30 a day for the recruiters to be involved in there. The applicants join for free, and it's the best recruiter wins. So it's like, if you're a loser, you don't want to be a part of it. But if you're a winner and you believe in yourself, you believe in your opportunity, you want to be a part of it, because then you just got to win people over, win them to your opportunity. So that's going to continue to expand and grow. That'll be an international company over the years. And, I've met with some venture capitalists where that's definitely going to be a sick thing. And then, I'm excited. The insurance space, I think, still has some things for me. I will not be associated with, any other IMOs. You guys don't have to worry about me going to any other IMOs and trying to pick up any of your cats or anything like that. But I know I'll still be doing something. You know what I mean? I know I'll be doing something in the insurance space and exploring the freedom and flexibility to build. But just know everything that I'm doing now in my old age is going to have equity. So that would be my recommendation: is you guys should read Patrick David's Your Next 5 Moves, and you should be very wise with your money and build equity. I know AB's always been talking about real estate and ownership, and that should be everybody's mindset. I think every man and woman should care enough about their time on the small amount of time we have on this beautiful earth to figure out, what are you building for yourself? You know what I mean? Where's your ownership? What are you going to do for yourself? So those are my plans right now. That's what I'm actively doing, and running calls like this. So pretty much it so far.
Yeah, man, staying active and creating that impact, which you talked about, earlier,
Yes.
man. Keep doing that, man. And a lot of people, they get on these like sort of conversations. Luckily, like we know each other outside of here, so it's like it's different, right? A lot of people they come on these podcasts, they do the whole hoorah and the kumbaya, but then like they're not
Yes.
really doing any stuff outside of here. I mean, I'm not trying to just yes, you
Yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah.
It's just you really do, man. That's why we bring on like quality individuals to have these conversations, people who actually practice what they preach. So like, that's huge, man. And blessings be to you and all your endeavors, man. It's crazy. Like this year has been insane. Like we were
Yes.
literally in the office like earlier this year. You transition was made, both of us,
Yeah.
right? We're doing our thing. You launched Sales Hub 4 months ago. In 4 months, with just organic traffic, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
you've got like over 200 active paying members in there, which is crazy.
So the applicants don't get charged, the recruiters get charged. So right now
Gotcha.
I'm just looking to drive, ultimately proof of concept and that people are enjoying the community and like getting results. And then over time, applicants will actually pay because that'll drive the quality of the applicant.
It's like a LinkedIn, man. You literally
Yeah.
basically created a LinkedIn
Just for
just based
sales,
on
just for commission.
get involved, really, I can imagine, right? You probably don't
Yeah.
have to get involved.
Yeah. So it's minimal overhead. It'll have minimal overhead as it scales.
Right.
So it's super sick.
That's amazing, man. God bless. Now, right before we wrap this up, I know we're kind of cutting it short on time here. Looking back at everything you've been able to accomplish and comparing your mindset, as a leader compared to when you were in the field and that like first picture that we showed initially, what's the best advice you would give to yourself as an agent or any agent coming up in their first year in the industry?
So the best advice would be don't take advice from somebody you wouldn't trade places with. So I think a lot of agents will get into the business and they'll just listen to everybody. You know what I mean? They'll listen to the poor people, they'll listen to the rich people, they'll listen to mom, dad, brothers, sisters, all these people that have never crushed selling insurance. What is your intention? Are you trying to sell the most insurance as possible? Then you must talk to the person that has sold the most insurance. There came to a point in my virtual business of scaling a virtual insurance business. It's like I would give people my advice, but I didn't need to highlight the results I got. Like I keep this as a reminder right here. This is my President's Club ring from the field. I was a great life insurance salesman physically. This is a representation of a bunch of insurance sold and good quality, good persistency. But virtually, I never sold a bunch of insurance. I haven't really had to sell insurance since I was 21 years old. So I always like to highlight the winner. I don't need to be right. I need to win. You know what I mean? So winning in leadership is if you're a leader and you're trying to hog up the mic and be like, I want to talk, I want to talk. Bro, if you haven't crushed it in a while, shut up and find who's crushing it and have them speak and build your whole business around the top producers. I always looked at because I always wondered, like, why do people fail in business? They don't highlight and emphasize the true CEO. The true CEO, the true king or queen of the business is the top producer. Who's pushing the product? Because there's a lot of lazy leaders ain't pushing no product. You know what I mean? So it's like if you ain't pushing product, then you are a servant to the person that is. I look at myself as a servant to those pushing product. How can I serve you? How's your day going? What do you need? What can I get for you? Need a cold water? Do you need a rag? Because I look at myself as a shareholder off of the revenue they're bringing. Hey, can I get 10 points off this? Can I get 15 points off this? Thank you very much. How can I serve you today? Right? Like I look like leaders are consultants. As a consultant, you have to bring value or you're no longer allowed. Like I love how you guys say no free overrides. You don't get to get a percentage of the revenue of the sharing revenue off of that agent, off of that CEO, that producer, if you're not bringing them value and serving them genuinely. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be best friends and family, but like genuinely bring them value or you don't deserve to work with that individual. So the CEO of the business is the producer, and I will die on that. I will live on that, and I will do my best to always produce in every aspect of my life in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be selling insurance or just always showing people, hey, I'm selling. I'm going to bring revenue. It may not be insurance, but I'm selling something. So
Huge, man, huge. I know we're kind of, about to wrap this up here. So I want to open up for questions if that's okay with you.
please, you guys are, I'm not on a rush. My next call's at 1:30, so I'm whatever
okay.
you do.
We're going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So, while we're waiting on questions, if you guys have questions, go ahead. We'll have you unmute in a second. Tristan, if you don't mind, book recommendations for new agents and book recommendations for leaders. Number one.
Book recommendation for new agents is phone numbers. Dial more, call more. I honestly wish I read less. The only reason I got to read so much and it worked out is because I had to drive to every appointment. You're sitting in your home all day, dial more. You're going to learn so much more from talking to hundreds and thousands of people and expediting the process of making as much money as possible. Put 100 grand in the bank and then go spend a year reading. You know what I mean? Like the percentage of people that probably have $100,000 in the bank on this call is probably a low percent. Okay. So your number one obligation, like $100,000 brings you so much mental freedom that you're going to retain way more than sitting there reading and you have $3 in the bank. What should I learn here? Maybe could it be that you should get back presenting and selling insurance and building your business? And then if you've got money, like the individual that you highlighted, AB, that said, if you've got a bunch of time, then you need to work. If you got a bunch of money, then you can invest your time into other areas that you want to invest your time into. So if you don't, but money buys you back time. Money is time. So if you don't have a bunch of money, then you have a bunch of time you need to invest into this business to get your money up. If you got a bunch of money though, here's book recommendations I have for you. Unreasonable Hospitality, I believe, is the first one. And I just sent that out to, my team the other day. And I've got a laundry list here. So I need to leadership books. I'll share my first three favorite. Think and Grow Rich, the 21 indispensable qualities of leadership, As a Man Thinketh, and I'll throw another one in there as well, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And there's a video series on YouTube that I make my whole team. I made them go through all the time. So it's cool because you could do like an interactive lesson. They're only 10 minutes. I like that a lot. Sales books, The Way of the Wolf, The Little Red Book of Selling, Closer Survival Guide, Be Obsessed or Be Average, all good. But the Grow You books is the Unreasonable Hospitality, like I told you guys, the Hypomanic Edge. If any of you guys ever feel crazy and you feel like you're borderline, like a little nuts, you'll really love that book because it just goes to relate all the people in history that have been super successful, super great war generals and kings and queens. They're all a little nuts. So you'll be able to have that relatability. And relatability brings security. And then the other one is The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. It is not, like what you think. It's not like some adult book. It's actually about business. So, probably some young guys on here that laughed about that, but you guys are all serious. It looks like AB. So those are my book recommendations.
Appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna open up for questions now. So, if you guys have a question, just raise your hand real quick, so that way we can keep this as organized as possible. Give everyone a little bit of a chance to get some insight from Mr. T here. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So get the questions out the way. Mr. Mario, go ahead, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate Mr. Dlabik for having us here, man. Going over everything. One big question is like, how you said how you pushing products. Like, how do you keep that momentum going, man? Like, how you have one good week and then the next week you have a really bad week. So, what kind of like goes through your mind? Like, just keep consistent.
So for me, it's, a lot of people will say like comparison is a thief of joy, but I think comparison can also be the reminder of joy, of being patient, being excited. And so I like to compare myself to the people that I look up to. So like, who do you think is the best entrepreneur in the entire world? Like, who do you look up to? Who would you share in your story? Like, who do you think is the best entrepreneur in the whole world? Who do you think that is, Mario?
I mean, I have many. I can't really like solely focus on a lot of people. Obviously, yourself, many others here in the
No, way
Zoom
richer.
call.
No, 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 not me. Way richer than me. Like, just think of
Right.
something worth billions of dollars. Who would it be?
I mean, obviously, like be like the big head, like Facebook leaders, like Jeff Bezos,
Yes.
like all those people, right?
Yeah. So here's what I would tell you. Those guys lose money every week. They win some, they lose some. And so how you look at it is just like a video game. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. You know what I mean? Like Call of Duty. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's like, and to keep it even simpler, you pull up a stock chart of these massive multi-billion dollar companies or trillion dollar organizations or funds. Some days they win, some days they lose. So if the biggest companies in the world can win and lose weekly, why can't you lose? They're okay with losing. That's how you get to the top. That's how you're going to get richer. Be okay with losing. It's only a loss if you're not willing to learn from it. And it's only a loss if you're not willing to have it happen again, because then you quit. So for me, losses are just lessons and they're just a part of the game. It's like taxes. I'm going to lose. Some years I'm going to lose, you know? So that's how I look at it. It's a phenomenal question.
Thank you.
Sammy Sabah, go ahead, man.
Hey,
Great
what's
question.
going on, Tristan? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate the valuable time you've given me here. I had a question for you personally. How I still haven't completed, I'm still doing my courses. I haven't even made my first sale yet. I was just wondering, how would you handle with over the phone rebuttals on like big sales? Like, how would you handle those?
I love the eagerness.
Yeah.
The first piece of advice isn't relevant to your question, but get the course done today. Get licensed by
Yeah.
tomorrow. You
I'm
know,
doing it right now. Yeah, I'm like I got my screen on my one side and I got you guys on the other side right now.
good, 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 good. So, and then to answer rebuttals, bro, like I used to overeducate the clients in the very beginning. I would talk way too much and I would say way too much. And when I really started to sell and persuade is one, when I just accepted not everybody is going to buy. It's okay. Am I going to die? Is it the end of the world? No, not everybody's going to buy. Not everybody's going to buy. It's like, my beautiful girlfriend. It took me asking, it's like a numbers game. It just took some shots. Some girls said no. Some girls said yes. The right girl said yes. I'm going to be 100% honest. You know what I mean? Like it's always been a shot game, for me. It's like, I'm not scared to take shots. Don't be scared to take shots. You're going to do great in sales. But the second thing is be kind to people. We live in a world that has always been supply and demand. And we live in a world of evolution to an extent of our brains have evolved over, let's just say, from out of my context of history, scientifically as well, like biblically, I would believe in like about 8,000, 9,000 years, according to the Bible, of like human evolution. The brain has been sold and persuaded. We've been sold for the last 9,000, 10,000 years. We've all been bargaining and bartering. Do you want this? Do you want that? I'll give you this. I'll give you that. You must take this. You must take that. Our brains have evolved. The first two things somebody typically is asking is, what do you want from me? And how long is this going to take? When you meet a stranger, is that typically what you're thinking? What does this person want from me? How long is this going to take? So I like to give people what they want. Hey, here's what I want from you. I want a couple minutes of your time to go over life insurance. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'll keep it pushing. Now, I don't need to really worry about rebuttals. I'm being honest and I'm treating this person with genuine compassion, just like they were my mother. Hey, listen, I don't know you from anybody. You don't know me from anybody. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to get into this as quickly as I can and go through this as quickly as I can because I value your time. I hope you value mine. And I'm going to be transparent and just talk to you like you're a friend, talk to you like you're a family member. If it makes sense, it makes sense. They want to hear confidence and they want to hear compassion because again, we live in a world of supply and demand. You know what is low in supply right now? Honesty. There's a lot of scammers and liars out there right now. You know what's low in supply right now? Love and compassion. We live in a world full of hatred and corruption and evil people trying to manipulate. Be the opposite. When you have something, or I guess that all that evil stuff is high in supply. What's low in supply is the love, is the opposite. So if you bring to people something that is low in supply, it's going to be high in demand. So I try to bring people love and honesty. It may not be the answer you want, but it's the answer I'm gonna give you. Here's the honest answer. People are like, oh, $7 million. Is it all safe? Not a dollar. You know what I mean? It's made and gone. But the honesty is more compelling in the message. Because now when you make your first 7 million, if you don't keep a lot of it, you're not gonna beat yourself up because you can be like, Tristan talked to me and he didn't keep that much. Here's what it is. I can look at it as a loss or as a lesson and just charge it to the game. On to the next 7 million. Let's go. Great question.
Great question, Sammy. Let's see if we got some more. We got room time for like one more. Yeah, so Samir asked, how significantly has cultivating a strong social media presence contributed to your success, and what factors do you believe deter us from posting on social media? And then what tips would you offer to people to help overcome these hesitations?
Yeah, it's a great question. So social media has dominated my overall growth. I've built my whole company through social media. I don't think I've had one resume hire. Everything has been directly and indirectly through social media. So, if you're not using social media, you're literally missing out on billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and relationships and connections you can never imagine. And so social media is very a very uncomplicated game. There's a lot of individuals that fake on there. Most people fake on there, but the real ones recognize the real ones, because they transparently post the process and what it takes. And that's where you're going to build valuable connections because you could have millions of followers and millions of engagement and then it just be low quality people. And so the conversion on that is minimal and it's poor. And then you could have couple people that are high quality people. Imagine Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are all engaging with your content. That high quality, engagement network right there would make you a billionaire. You wouldn't need to sell anybody anything else. Stop worrying about how many people are engaging and start worrying about building a true message around your true reputation, which needs to be results. You know what compels people to watch your content? Isn't the quality of your content, it's the quality of the context in your content. What are you bringing? What are you bringing to the content? What results are you bringing? Not how you speak, not how you speak, not what's all involved, the results. What have you built? What have you built mentally, physically, spiritually, financially? People want to look at what you've built. That's what compels people to engage. That's what compels people to follow and to listen to you. This person has not only built something for themselves, but then you take it to another level when you've helped others build as well. And people say, the reason why I've been able to do this is because AB has influenced me. He's mentored me, developed me, and helped me make millions of dollars. People listen to you in correspondence to the results you've generated, nothing else. So getting over the fear of posting and why people don't post is ego. That ego of like, oh, I don't want to look stupid. Nobody wanted to look stupid. So it's like you can stay broke or you can look stupid for 5 years, 10 years. The choice is yours. Most people choose staying broke because it's easier to stay broke than to look stupid for a temporary period of time. But in the grand scheme of things, when you look at it in retrospect, it's actually way harder to just never post, never build content and go your whole life broke. Like you can go your whole life broke and trying to fit in with the people that you want to understand you. Like you're either going to be understood by poor people and misunderstood by rich people, or you're going to be understood by rich people and misunderstood by poor people. Most people just hate being misunderstood by poor people because that's 99% of people. So it feels like this large crowd is making fun of you and calling you a scammer. You're never going to be anything. You're a scammer. You're selling insurance. Like 99% of my engagement has been just scammers coming. The scammer community just coming after me, bro. You know what I mean? But like the 1%, well, I'm tight with Eric Spofford. You know what I mean? I know that sounds kind of corny, but like, bro really sold a company for $150 million. You know what I mean? Like he's got me plugged in with people. I sat down at a podcast with AB. Like I've done a couple UFC podcasts. Like I'm really building, not overnight, but over time. It's been 7 years of hell. I'm building a real reputation. All started with a little consistency, a little bit of courage. Just keep showing up, keep doing it. I want to be understood by the winners. Let the losers keep misunderstanding me. I don't even got to tell them we're losers. Great questions.
Yes, man. I think that was pretty much. I think we got time for a few more questions.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to rip. Makes me look more important than my other calls.
Anyone, let's give someone else a shot. Mr. Khan, go ahead, bro. My dog.
Hey Tristan, I don't know if you remember me. I used to work in your office. I was the kid with the blonde
1000%.
hair. Yeah, blonde hair. Oh, you couldn't miss it. But
Very intelligent. I remember you.
yeah, man. I just wanted to ask you one question because I feel like this is one of the things we're running into. But how do you? Because I know you experienced it too. But how do you deal with disagreements in the business, with whether it be with your partners, downline, upline, whoever it may be? How do you navigate that kind of stuff? Because obviously I work with AB directly. We butt heads a lot. Some people have like yes men. I'm his no man. So every time he says something, I'm basically his no man. So me and him go back and forth a lot, right? But
Yeah.
just in your experience, you obviously had a lot of that, the past year. How do you navigate like business disagreements or just
Yeah.
differences in attitude and everything like that?
And let me tell you this, Eamon, that you're one of the most valuable people that he has. When I was a young man, all I wanted around me was yes, man. Now, as I've gotten older, I realized if everyone's saying yes and I'm going down the wrong path, I could have wasted another 6 years of my life. You know what I mean? So it's like, I need people to say no and to say, what if we did it this way? What if we did it that way? Like, why would we, if we all are saying yes, everybody that is in agreement, some people then become irrelevant. Why are you even here? Like, if you bring no value and you just always tell me what I want to hear and you don't bring any value, then you're not needed. So there was a little lesson within that. You're a very valuable person if you see things differently and you bring value. Now, somebody that see things differently all the time and doesn't bring any value, those two people go like in the same bucket. If you bring value, then you can do whatever you want. You can see things the same and you can see things differently. I could care less because you're bringing value to the business. If you don't bring any value, you pretty much got to go regardless. But I love that there's some indifference there. But I would tell you this, what not to do. As a young leader, as a young man, I used to just challenge everybody to a wrestling match or to a boxing match. So I would not do that. I would not advise doing that. That's a definite way not to build relationships. But as I've gotten older and more successful in my leadership, I've tried to sit down and see things from people like from different angles and different perspectives. You guys follow my podcast and my journey. I like to think of myself like similar to PBD. I love when PBD interviews Christians, and then he interviews Muslims, and then he interviews Jews, and then he gets them all to sit down with one another and try to unite and see things from different angles. So, and that's just a religious, I guess reference, but you can apply it same to business because business brings the same amount of attention, if not more, than the religions as well. So I try to see now like what, well, why, Eamon? Help me sit down. Why would you do it this way? What are you saying that I'm not saying? And I think that takes a leader with actual humility. Is like, I need to see it from your angle. What are you saying I'm not saying? And so I think if you genuinely have that relationship of like, I would go to AB and be like, hey man, here's why, here's what I'm seeing and here's why. I know the type of man he's gonna be. It's like, okay, if you bring the why, it's gonna be a lot more convicting than just coming off with the what. Make sure you always bring the why. Because people don't really necessarily care about the what unless they know the why. You know what I mean? Like my girl tries to tell me to do something. If she don't bring the why, I'm gonna just say, hey, no, not doing it. But when she brings the why, I'm like, hey, I think you should do this because here's the why. The why seals the deal for both of you.
Yeah. And it's all the better if the why has like data to back it too,
Yeah. Yeah.
Big piece. Shout out you, Con, man. God bless you. And then Garrett Garcia.
Hey Tristan. So I don't have a question for you. You're a big part of the reason why I'm even here in this agency because I saw you on TikTok when I was looking at insurance, and you're 100% right. I think one of those people that I was like, oh, this dude's probably a scam, right? Because he's looking at $1 million. I think somebody interviewed you or somebody from your team interviewed you, and you're like that. You've made like $1 million the last however many years. But that was when I was with another captive agency. I think they were doing maybe a little bit over 6 figures. So it just seems so unreasonable that $1 million could even be possible. And then you come here and it's like, oh, shoot. Yeah, like AB last week talking about 3-something million. This is goal this year. It's like, oh, okay. We're talking numbers, right? So it's just getting around the right people. But no, I'm going to appreciate your the time, the advice, your perspective on everything. Really do appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to money, measure big and measure with time and big time frames as well. But as long as you're in a vehicle that has actual proof, as long as and we're all in a vehicle that has proof. The insurance industry has proof of making hundreds of millions of billions of dollars. Just make sure you're in the right vehicle. Because it's like in the automotive industry. Okay, there's Bugattis. We're all in the right industry, but somebody got into a Honda and somebody got into a Bugatti. Who's going to get to the destination faster? And then if the whole plan is to get to the moon, the car is not going to get you to the moon. You need to find out where are you getting the spaceship. So where is your destination? Can a car get you there? And then what car is going to get you there the fastest? Because ultimately it's not acquiring, I guess it kind of corresponds with one another, but it's like, it's not acquiring a bunch of materials or trophies or accolades along the way. It's a matter of acquiring enough money where your quality of life now puts you in a position where you can do what you want when you want. That would be ultimately the destination of freedom. Everything's glorified slavery until you've actually got enough money where you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want. If you have to answer your phone and you have to work on your phone and answer to other human beings, you are not free. I am not free. You know what I mean? Like, how long could you go without answering your phone? A day, a week, a month, a year, until you can go the rest of your life and you've got enough funds and enough cash flow that you don't need to answer your phone. You can throw it away and you'll be fine. You're not free, So that's how I look at money. That's how I look at identifying vehicles. That's how I look at, my time is what am I doing to get me to the moon? For me, it's not even the moon. I'm trying to get to another universe's moon. So my destination is different. I won't have enough life to get done what I want to get done because it's not even like I'm not even dreaming about this universe. I want to go to another universe and not like I don't care about leaving Earth. I'm talking about like it's not enough for me to be the richest man in the world, and I don't care about the money because of how long I grew up without it. It's more so legacy. You know what I mean? I want to destroy Alexander the Great. I want to be imprinted into history as the greatest human being to ever exist. And it's ego. And, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. I'm honest about it and compassionate about it. And I love human beings. But, I don't see a point as a man to exist with any other intentions of conquering. I think our innate desire is to conquer. I want to conquer. I want to take over. That's my goal. So I need to find a vehicle that aligns with that. And I need to constantly be willing to upgrade that vehicle. And I used to look at that as quitting, and now I realize it's intelligence. Some people confuse the two.
Yes. I think Razi, we have time for one more question. Razi has a question. Obviously, remember Mr. Razi.
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for everything in our previous company. But I wanted to ask you what would be just starting off. I don't have like a big base or anything. What would be the best way to monetize and utilize social media? Like,
Yeah, so the best way to monetize and it right now is to expect nothing right now, because you have to honestly assess yourself. What have you done? Because I even assess myself the same way. I look at the $7 million, I'm like, it's nothing. Somebody out there is 26 years old and they can prove they've made 70 million over the last 6 years. There's a kid down here, his name's FX Alex G on Instagram. I'm just giving you a reference. And I think he's done Forex the last 6 or 7 years, like actually traded it. He doesn't build a Forex team. And he's got a Bugatti and he's made a bunch of money. You know what I mean? So it's like his result. Like, again, the compelling argument is the results, not I speak better. He's got more results. His engagement is better. People don't care how well you speak, what you have to say, until they see what you've done. Document the journey. Just document the journey. Show your losses. Show where you're at. But keep focusing on getting results. The faster you can get more results and better results, the more your engagement's going to go up. You know what I mean? Like, your goal this year should be making the biggest, like every week, it should be making the biggest paycheck you've ever made, and then documenting it and showing proof. I just made $30,000 this week. I just made $100,000 this week. I made $1 million this week. Like, think bigger and then go do the work to get it and then document it. Here's what went wrong. Here's what went right.
Very much so. Let's get it going, man.
Yeah.
How's the answer?
okay.
Very much so. All right, though, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Tristan, we can conclude here in a minute. Everyone, I want you guys, everyone unmute right now and say thank you. I don't want to see no ones.
Appreciate it, Tristan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Go, Tristan.
Thank you,
Tristan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have one
Appreciate
of the best cultures I've seen in a while. You sat on here for an hour and a half, cameras on and respectful. You guys, AB is a really good leader. He really is. What a diamond that I unfortunately had to let slip through the cracks because of my stupid.
Nobody special. I
But
appreciate you, man.
yeah, man, you guys are incredible. Blessings to every single one of you. You guys are gonna crush it.